Welcome to the War Academy channel. Today we bring a very special program, in which we are going to see one of the most audacious operations of the Second World War, which still to this day is full of unknowns to be solved. The main one, as we are going to see below, is the supposed help that the Germans had to receive from inside the Scapa Flow base, to have been able to carry out such an action. It was thus that a little later, the figure of the German super spy would emerge who, after having infiltrated the area for years, was able to give all the details to the submarine captain Günther Prien, who was finally able to enter the base with his submersible, and hurt pride of the British Navy. This agent was known as the Ghost Watchmaker of Scapa Flow, which, as we will see in the show, was never found. Before we go with the story of this alleged spy, let's get back in the background. Located in the north of Scotland, specifically in the Orkney Islands, the British had an important base for their navy, known as the Naval Base of Scapa Flow. This base had already tried to be attacked by German submarines during the First World War, but none could be successful, due to the fact that it has numerous natural and artificial barriers. When the Second World War began, the English knew that the Germans would try again, so they strengthened the base's defenses even more. To do this, they sank more ships at the entrances, installed anti-submarine nets, placed different mines and established numerous patrols in the area. One of the first objectives to be marked by the high command of the German Navy was to deliver a blow to British morale, as forceful as possible. For this, there was no better option than to attack where they felt safest. The mission of sneaking into this impenetrable base was assigned to Lieutenant Günther Prien, at the controls of the submarine U-47. On October 13, 1939, Günther arrived at the entrance of this base with his submarine, after which he was able to enter without being seen inside it. After avoiding all obstacles and patrols, the German submarine fired at two British battleships, being able to sink one and damage the other. Once he saw that his torpedoes had hit, Günther was able to leave the base without any problem and return to Germany. Although the material damage was not decisive to level the balance between the two opposing navies, it did mean a blow to British morale and a total humiliation for them. So much so, that once the British commanders analyzed the operation, they determined that it was completely impossible that a German submarine could have carried it out without any help from the inside. So the conclusion they drew was that they had German spies infiltrating the area. Based on this, numerous agents from MI5 S counterintelligence service were dispatched to the scene. His mission was to find and arrest the supposed German spy, who had made such an operation possible. Curiously, the arrival of all these secret agents only caused the confusion among the population to increase, and many neighbors and the military began to see alleged German spies everywhere. After 2 years of searching in which they found nothing, an American journalist published an article in which he told the whole story of the German super agent, who had been the architect of the entire operation. The identity of the nicknamed Ghost of Scapa Flow, based on the investigations of the journalist Kurt Ries, corresponded to a German veteran of the First World War named Alfred Waring. Born in 1875, Alfred was a rather lonely man who had devoted himself entirely to the only passion he had in life, this being the sea. During the Great War, he had been an officer in the German Navy, standing out for being a very attentive and observant man. After the end of the war, Alfred became a watchmaker, moving to France in 1921, with the mission of collecting information on the French Navy, while using his watchmaker trade as a cover. By 1927, he was called to Berlin, and there he was given a new identity to go to British soil and begin to investigate the defenses of the Scapa Flow base. Although on that date both countries were at peace, the Germans wanted to have as much information as possible, to be prepared in case a new conflict broke out. Alfred, now known by the name of Karl Muller, settled in Holland, to later move to Switzerland. This supposed agent was gaining trust in these countries to gradually obtain their respective nationalities and continue perfecting his cover. All these actions would pay off in 1930 when he was finally able to go live in London, thanks to his Swiss passport. There he had to wait 2 more years, then being known by the name of Albert Ortel. In 1932, when he was over 60, he was able to obtain British citizenship, and a year later he was able to move to the town of Kirkwall, near the Scapa Flow base. In this way, Alfred finished the adventure that he had started for 7 years, and finally he was where he wanted. There, the veteran German sailor was able to open a watch shop, which soon became popular, because it was the only one in town. Similarly, Alfred was able to earn the affection and respect of the British neighbors, as he was a very friendly man. This watchmaker spent all day working in his workshop, which he interrupted only to take his walks around the vicinity of Scapa Flow Bay, and to have a beer in the port tavern together with a company of sailors and fishermen from the area, while listening carefully to all their conversations. There he was able to find out how the fishermen accessed the port, overcoming the different military barriers. Apparently the technique consisted of being carried away by the current at high tide. He also discovered how to avoid the underwater mines in the bay, and to locate the various sentries that patrolled the area. When the man returned home, he was writing down all the information he had collected that day and pointing to it on his map. In it, he was setting the schedule of the patrols, the location of the mines and barriers, the behavior of the tides, and in general, all the necessary information for someone who wanted to enter the base without being detected. After years of research, the German watchmaker was able to find the solution in mid-September 1939, just a few days after the start of the new war. It was then that he was able to send all this information to Berlin, using a letter with a code text, in which he detailed the watches he had sold, but which secretly indicated the way to enter the British naval base. A few weeks later, the Germans sent Günther's submarine to Scapa Flow and carried out their attack with complete success. From this point on, the watchmaker's track was lost, and the American journalist wrote in his article that it is most likely that he would have secretly returned to Germany, after leaving his shop and home in Kirkwall. A few days later, the residents of the town became very concerned about the alleged Albert Ortel, because his store was closed and they had not seen him again. Based on this, they went to his house and threw the door down, while they feared that the poor man had had a heart attack and had died without anyone noticing. In it they found a paper with the schedule of the trains that left for London, and a money with a note that said that should be given to the cleaning woman. When British agents went to the town, to search for the supposed German spy who had collaborated in the attack, it did not occur to any inhabitant of Kirkwall to point out the missing watchmaker, because even in that situation, did he continue to raise suspicions. Here ends the story that the American journalist published in his article, entitled The Truth of Scapa Flow. Once this went viral and this story began to spread through both Britain and the United States, British agents went to check if the story was true, and if so, how could they have overlooked all that? The surprise they got was again total, when after questioning the neighbors again, no one said they knew any watchmaker named Alfred Ortel, nor could they find any watchmaker in the city. In short, it was found that the story was completely false, and the result only of the desire to be a leading role of a journalist who had had nothing better to do. This super spy story became so popular that it even reached Germany, who quickly claimed that everything said was true. With this they tried to finish unhinging the British counterintelligence services, and give the impression that they had people infiltrated everywhere, with the capacity to carry out these operations. Despite the fact that after rigorous investigations, it was firmly determined that this story was false, even after the war ended. The head of the British MI5 Secret Service claimed that the attack that the Germans carried out on Scapa Flow was totally impossible to do. If you did not have fully updated information, that someone would have provided them from within. So, although no one was ever found, according to all military analysis, There must have been a German spy infiltrating the area who had passed the information on to them. And what do you think? Do you think that this supposed ghost of Scapa Flow was real, or could Lieutenant Günther commit this feat alone? In any case, the mystery remains open. Well, so far this program, which I hope has been of interest to you. This story is collected in the book of the 100 Best Anecdotes of the Second World War by Jesus Hernandez, which we hope to have on the channel soon. I'll leave you the link to the book along with other videos of interest, such as the Soviet division massacred in Finland in the description. This is it. Subscribe and support this channel if you like this program, and see you in the next one. See you soon.